manipulation.
Ensemble, main dans la main pour préserver l'unité de notre cher et beau pays, le Cameroun.
C'est un message de Royal FM, la radio des auditeurs.
Subscribe to Maso Gold. Maso Gold, conceived for the total fulfillment of all and sundry.
The 2 p.m. newscast
with
Azone Mapala.
Good afternoon, beautiful people. You're welcome to today's Royal Afternoon Edition, the 2 p.m. news on 88.4 Royal FM on this first day of the month of August 2023. My name is Mapala Zita. Our top stories. MARDI Act 3 is still putting smiles on faces. Mutualists in Douala are savoring the beauty that comes with contributing just 100 francs daily, as some lucky winners went home with financial and material benefits of the MARDI. Plus, World Breastfeeding Week kickstarts today. Just how important is it to breastfeed our babies?
Breast milk is a balanced diet, contains all the nutrients in correct proportions that is good for the baby. Milk has antibodies that helps to prevent the baby from ear infection, diabetes, breast.
Out of the country, we will take you on a tour around Africa, and in sports, we will talk the African Boxing Championship and the La Francophonie Games. Ladies and gentlemen, those were our top stories. Please stay with us. Good afternoon. Once again, you're welcome to the 2 p.m. news on 88.4 Royal FM. MARDI Act 3, the raffle draw ceremony in the littoral regional capital, Douala, has taken place with mutualists seeing themselves benefiting from not only finances but as well as material benefits to help them come out of the circle of poverty. Abel Bella Samari tells us more.
Despite the heavy downpour witnessed in the economic capital, Douala, mutualists from the two agencies of RENAPO Finance SA in Dokoti and New Daido braved the odds to be part of this ceremony organized by RENAPO Finance SA through the Mutual Assistance and Solidarity MARDI Act 3. MARDI Act 3 ceremony in Douala was an opportunity to remove some Cameroonians from the shackle of poverty.
I'm called Munkem Crisantos. I'm in New Daido. I'm the happy winner of the TSIC. I'm very happy to have the TSIC after 3 good years. It's what I've been waiting for. But thank the Almighty God that has made it possible for me today.
After winning this tricycle from the Mutual Assistance and Solidarity, Mr. Mukam Crisantos thinks it is time for others to equally benefit, as he declared himself ambassador of the Mutual Assistance and Solidarity MARDI.
I pray that the God Almighty to continue to guide them with the new customers that we are going to bring in the house, that will continue to grow from strength to strength.
Like Crisantos, Mukam, winner of a tricycle, Joseph Claude Dohong is a beneficiary of a taxi. He said he's just coming from winning a taxi. He is happy. I have been a driver for 3 years today, and God has given me the opportunity to win a taxi. I give my heart to MARDI so that the MARDI should grow more than this, so that I might have the opportunity to have even 2, 3, 4 or 5 taxis. Given the difficulties faced to obtain finances from one business, the raffle draw ceremony, MARDI Act 3 in Douala, was a moment for business persons to obtain finances to the tunes of millions. The Mutual Assistance and Solidarity MARDI, in its finest mission to also provide household equipment for mutualists. Jacqueline Go Mayi is one of the lucky winners. I won a gas cooker from the Mutual Assistance and Solidarity MARDI. I am very happy. I wish MARDI continue in this light. The raffle draw ceremony in Douala was also an opportunity for would-be mutualists to come in contact with officials of the MARDI, that is the Mutual Assistance and Solidarity, for registration and contribution into MARDI Act 4. You too can do the same. Just rush to any RAISSA Finance SA agency. There are 27 of them in the country, 13 of them in the capital city, Yaoundé. You can be the lucky beneficiary.
Staffman Abel Bela summary in that report. Away from the Mutual Assistance and Solidarity, we talk the World Breastfeeding Week, which is being celebrated from today the 1st to the 7th of August. And it is commemorating the 1990 Innocenti Declaration. World Breastfeeding Week started in 1992 with annual themes including health care, education, human rights, and many others. In 2018, a World Health Assembly resolution endorsed World Breastfeeding Week as an important breastfeeding promotion strategy. Cameroon therefore joins other world nations this week to highlight all the aspects of breastfeeding under the theme Enabling Breastfeeding, Making a Difference for Working Parents. Amidst the celebration of World Breastfeeding Day, it rather has been noticed that most Cameroonian women, while breastfeeding their babies, are carefree of where they are. Some Cameroonians have spoken out their opinions on the phenomenon of women breastfeeding their babies in public places. Get their views in the following Vox Pop compiled by our student journalist Glory Ngange.
Concerning breastfeeding mothers breastfeeding their children in public, it depends on the situation. Let's say you're in the market and the baby is crying to an extent that you are frustrated about it. Will you keep watching the baby crying because you don't want to breastfeed the baby in public? As a breastfeeding mother, you feel for the baby when the baby is crying. For me, at that age, you don't have any choice than to breastfeed the baby.
When I see women breastfeeding in public or even in taxis, I feel proud. I'm happy because, the woman is not even ashamed that she remove her breast to actually the child in public, especially if you are a timid woman and so you don't move your breast in public to say, okay, my child is hungry, I must feed my child. Okay, they will remove it and give their child the necessary. I'm so proud of this because you cannot deprive your child from feeding because you're in a public area. No.
Breastfeeding is a normal thing. I will totally agree with the fact that breastfeeding a child in public is a normal. The child need that even is out of the public or in public.
It is very dirty for a woman to breastfeed her baby in public because the baby is still very young and is very fragile. And when a woman breastfeeds her baby in public, the baby is very exposed to any possible disease. So it's always good for a woman to breastfeed her child in the house or in a very clean environment.
Still on World Breastfeeding Week, our student journalist Mendomo Erica interviewed a midwife on how women should breastfeed in public, the dangers of doing so, and how they can clean their breast before giving it to their children. Get her puts the reactions in this report.
Breastfeeding, which is defined as the action of feeding a baby with milk from the breast, is celebrating its week as from today. G. Jackson, a midwife, gives us the best method to breastfeed a child.
Cross-cradle hold. This position is better for the mom because the woman can actually sit upright and hold that baby close to her. If she has a drip, she can drip, and then she's directly able to observe to see what is going on. For this position to be very effective, that should reflect even in her dressing, meaning that she should put on a dress that is loose.
The midwife goes on by saying that it is important to breastfeed the child publicly or privately.
It's very normal and recommended to breastfeed your baby in public. If you think that you exposing your breast will be a problem to those onlookers, then you can always devise a means of covering it. Breastfeeding doesn't, be it in the public or in the private.
Jackson further says it is rather a danger for a woman to keep the milk in her breast on demand of the child.
there is more danger when you avoid to give that breast to the child exclusively because you are in a public place than keeping the breast to give only when you get back home. Step out, look for a comfortable place, sit down. They are isolated and then they breastfeed the child.
Breastfeeding contributes greatly to the development of the child's brain, and all mothers should not be ashamed of doing so wherever the place.
And as the global campaign for breastfeeding kickstarts today, our reporter Eratus Ndue caught up with a medic to know some of the importances of breastfeeding a child and the dangers related to not breastfeeding a child. He put together this report.
In Cameroon, millions of newborn babies have been prevented of the fundamental right of breastfeeding, and many others have been welcomed by the co-hands of death before attaining the age of 2 or 3, a phenomenon which is understood by the ignorance of these mothers these days, who shun from the habit of breastfeeding for fashion, not willing to allow their breasts to fall. Josephine J is a midwife who hits hard on such practice and proceed by aligning some advantages of breastfeeding a child and to a mother.
Breast milk is a balanced diet, contains all the nutrients in correct proportions that is good for the baby's health. Breast milk has antibodies that helps to prevent the baby from infections and sicknesses such as ear infection, diabetes. Breastfeeding is also for the mother because it helps as a family planning method for 6 months after delivery. It helps to reduce sicknesses like breast cancer to diabetes in the health of the mother as the baby is sucking her nipples.
Acting as a process of bonding between the baby and the mother, it is important to keep the nipple clean before breastfeeding the child, and for that, the mother should
She should keep it clean, wipe it maybe with a face towel and simple water. If, for example, a mother has been working the whole day, she's sweating and she wants to breastfeed her baby, she does not just remove it and give the baby because the baby is going to pick up bacteria from her nipple. No soap, nothing, just clean face towel and clean water.
It will be of no excuse if the baby tends to develop some malformation, as these ones are being called upon to avoid deviant behaviors and feed properly.
The mother is supposed to feed well because it's from what she eats that the baby is going to have food. Whatever she eats, the baby will take it through breast milk. So the mother is supposed to feed well, have enough rest so that the baby will be healthy. And the mother is also supposed to avoid things like alcohol, drugs, smoking. The mother is supposed to avoid it.
So as Cameroon joins head with other nations to celebrate World Breastfeeding Week, they have been urged to play their crucial role of empowering families and sustainable breastfeeding-friendly environment in post-pandemic work life.
Still to come in this newscast, the government allocates more money for the reconstruction and development of the conflict-plagued northwest and southwest regions of Cameroon. What do Cameroonians think?
You cannot reconstruct something that will be destroyed tomorrow, so even that money to reconstruct is not possible in some areas there. So
if you're just joining us, you're listening to the 2 p.m. news on 88.4 Royal FM and watching us live on Facebook at Royal FM Cameroon. The Islamic Development Bank has signed a memorandum of understanding with the government of Cameroon, allocating over 2.1 billion francs CFA for the presidential plan for the reconstruction and development of the northwest and southwest regions of Cameroon. The signing ceremony took place in Yaoundé yesterday, during which the Association of Banking Institutions in Cameroon also supported the plan with the sum of 250 million francs in another memorandum of understanding. Prime Minister Chief Dr. Joseph John Guti has saluted the move. In this light, our student journalist Awasiri Darin got the views of some Cameroonians on the fact that the government has decided to give money again for the reconstruction of the northwest and southwest regions. Meanwhile, there is still unrest in these parts of the country.
It's not a good idea considering the increasing insecurity that we have in these two regions. I think the primary objective of the government should be to try to bring peace before reconstruction can be done. Because of what use is it to reconstruct the northwest and the southwest at a period when there is still insecurity? There is still a probability that some of those structures can still get destroyed in the course of time. So I think it would be more wise if government were to allocate that budget rather for effort to ensure that it's back to normal. I think that would be a much better decision.
It is fine, but now they never be then certified for only for the way where you be see her now only for solve the problems them. May they not the key, may they not the fight again. Now the only thing that we talk. If we don't be with one
kind of waste of time because you cannot reconstruct something that will be destroyed tomorrow. So even that money to reconstruct is not possible in some areas there. So the money cannot be properly used because if you construct a school today, it will be destroyed tomorrow, or a road or any other thing. So it is a kind of waste of time. It's better, it's the appropriate time to release funds for reconstruction where we know that at any moment those same infrastructures can still be destroyed.
Following the Memorandum of Understanding recently signed in Yaoundé, our reporter Fraicheur Royale interviewed a geostrategist to find out how effective this move will be in reconstructing the two English-speaking regions. Here is her report.
It is not the first time a loan is taken for the reconstruction of the Northwest and Southwest regions since the outbreak of the crisis. This time, Alain Richard, the geostrategist, attests.
For the funds to be effectively used, the government itself should be able to do it and carry out counter checks on those to use the funds. The funds should not become what we have known, that each time there are loans or there are funds for development projects, people pocket them and then later on they are carried to Kondingi. We will not have the situation.
Moreover, the experts suggest that there be a frank collaboration between the government and the population.
The government should equally use the indigenous approach to solving the crisis. The indigenous should be able to provide a way forward because here you're talking about security wahala within the process. I think one way of solving the security wahala is to use the indigenous approach.
In addition, the inhabitants should be sensitized on the importance of giving a chance to development.
The idea of local development should be at the center. I think the local development of the people or the place of the area should be at the center. Once this is at the center, the problem of security can be solved. Because I don't think people can live in the bush all their life. Those in the bushes, if they are approached by their brothers and sisters, their parents, I think there will be a way out. If not a lasting one, a temporary one.
Worth recalling that the socio-political crisis has been rocking the two English-speaking regions for close to 7 years.
Fraicheur Royale, in that report, we talk something else to say that we are in the heart of holidays, and during this period, government officials usually organize competitions and other socio-cultural activities to galvanize youths of their areas of jurisdiction. However, complaints have come up that most of them turn to politicize these activities and use them as campaign arenas. Just what can explain this attitude? Our newsroom caught up with a political analyst. Take a listen to Soweyeba Alban.
Sports, and particularly football, brings together people of all walks of life in a unified manner. So that explains why politicians in Cameroon using holiday activities as a tool for politics. You know, in politics, every tool you have at your disposal and that can work at your advantage is acceptable. It depends on how you play your game. And holiday tournaments in particular brings a fertile ground for these politicians, and they're exploiting it. You see an individual who is not into politics organizes such tournaments and in the long run presents himself as a candidate in elections and wins because of the popularity he got from organizing football tournaments. Now, who are already probably members of government or mayors or other elected officials have understood this tool, and it makes them to attain their ambitions easily.
Honorable Kumasi Simon is the parliamentarian for Santa constituency and the organizer of the Santa Unity Cup, one of such holiday competitions. He says his sole goal is to galvanize younger brothers and sisters in the spirit of togetherness. Take a listen.
I love football and I love to see people come together. That is my main objective. I want to see my subdivision come together. I want to see us together. I want to see us talk. I want to see us understand ourselves. So by talking about election, this and that one is not also kept aside. Registering in the electoral register is a good thing. Building the subdivision where we come from. So even if I have to encourage them to register in the electoral register, it is a civic responsibility for everyone of voting age. But I can never force somebody to vote for me, or I can never force somebody to vote a different party. So it's out of place, because when you look at the political activities in the country, they're also much in line with where the population is. That's how we function. And so if I have to tell the children to register in the electoral list using football, it's a good thing. But I can never force somebody to vote for me. That's what they must understand. And I use that occasion to educate them how to live. So when I bring them together, one of the education is how they should live well with the people. And so that is the purpose for us organizing this thing.
We stay in our holiday file. A free campaign dubbed AIDS Free Holidays is going on in all 10 regions of the country. This is to educate and advise youths about the dangers of HIV and AIDS so as to reduce the rate of infected citizens in the country. Our student intern Ebanda Leon went down the streets of Yaoundé to actually know if HIV and AIDS is still a preoccupation to youths. He compiled this report.
In some companies in Cameroon, employees are tested so as to know who is HIV positive.
It matters because in some companies, you're not allowed to enter if you are infected. And also, the fact that a girl does it with many guys is also a risk.
For Cedric, AIDS is not really a preoccupation because the rate of sensitization has greatly drops.
To me, AIDS is not a very preoccupation for young today because since I'm born, it is only one time that I have done it because I was in secondary school. Teachers oblige us. We don't speak about it like previous. Now they speak it as a simple thing because now we have retroviral and other things that we can take.
Meanwhile, for Chanel, knowing her status is very important so as to be sure everything is okay.
It is a preoccupation for others because they care for their health. They don't want to have a sickness.
Despite the controversies observed, it's still wise to remain protected from this disease.
And in some cultural news, Cameroonian cinema is once again on the spotlight on the international scene as the country gets several nominations at the prestigious Sotigi Awards in Ouagadougou, Burkina Faso. 237 actresses Octavie Pondo and Nimo Loughlin will be contesting in different categories alongside other international screen divas. Here now is Nimo Loughlin, lead actress of the award-winning movie The Planter's Plantation of Aston Young Dinger. She gives her impressions about Cameroonian cinema and the so much attention the industry is receiving in recent years.
I think the fact that Cameroon is being recognized more and more internationally is a testament to how far Cameroon cinema has come, how much growth we have attained, and to how big the cinema front in Cameroon is. And I believe that in the next few years, we are going to get more and more recognitions. It is a privilege to live in such times when we are making huge names for ourselves out there. And we are very proud to represent Cameroon every way we can. I am currently nominated for 3 categories at the Sotigi 2023 Awards. I am very honored to be amongst the laureates who are representing my country, and I am very, very elated with that. That is just a testament to how well Cameroon cinema is growing, and it is wonderful. If I am in a category with Viola Davis, with the greats as such, it means that we should be proud of the work we are putting in, and Cameroon should stand behind its cinema because it is getting recognition internationally, which is proof that we are selling Cameroon appropriately.
Out of Cameroon, the second Russia-Africa summit has ended in St. Petersburg. One of the resolutions taken is Russia reaffirming the principles and objectives enshrined in the declaration of the first Russia-Africa summit in 2019. Abel Bela Samari caught up with a Nigerian journalist in the person of Jerry Musa, who now looks at what Africa stands to gain.
Even those that we have seen engaged in signing memorandum of understanding with the Russian companies here in different space is a step in the positive direction in the wake of the recent events around the Black Sea grain deal, which President Vladimir Putin felt that the developing countries needed to benefit a lot more. In the other spaces, he said that there should be engagement in education. The quotas for African students at Russian universities will definitely be increasing in this particular period of time. time, trade is one of the areas that the Russian president emphasizes will be beneficial for both Russia and the African nations. He highlighted the fact that about 35%, there's been a 35% growth of trade within Africa. But importantly too, he said that African Union he'll be seconding the African Union to be a member of the G20. So lots of positives for the African nations to take away from the summit.
The first Russia-Africa summit saw the participation of 43 African countries, but this second edition had less than 20 heads of states. Jerry Musa explains why.
Well, there's been a divide in the participation of African nations in this particular summit compared to 2019, where 43 nations took part, and fertilizers coming through from Russia is one that could get the African nations pulling together in the same direction. But collectively, Africa is desirous of trying to achieve some of the opportunities that are coming from Russia in the spaces of technology, information technology, science, trade, and even still security.
We take you to Niger, where the French Foreign Ministry says it will soon start evacuating its nationals in Niger following a coup last week. A message sent out by the French embassy in Niamey said that amid the deteriorating security situation, evacuations by air were being prepared and will take place very soon and in a very limited span of time. The military junta in Burkina Faso and Mali have said any forcible attempt to restore President Mohamed Bazoum in neighboring Niger will be seen as a declaration of war on them. This follows a threat from a regional bloc that it would take all measures if the president was not reinstated. Mr. Bazoum is being held by Niger's coup leaders after being ousted last week. France, the former colonial power, has now announced it is preparing to evacuate its citizens from Niger. The region, threatened by an Islamist insurgency, has seen several coups in recent years. Both Burkina Faso and Mali have several ties with the West, in particular with France, and embraced new alliances with Russia. Their warning marks a significant twist that could escalate the volatile regional situation. Professor Kwasi Anin of the Kofi Annan Peacekeeping Training Center says ECOWAS is a toothless bulldog.
I think it's part of the long process of negotiation, seeking to bring elections or deliberately present a political agenda during the campaigns, both to the military and the electorate, knowing that you cannot fulfill those promises when you attain power, then you've undermined constitutionality.
The professor goes further to defend his position.
ECOWAS, with its normative frameworks built on shared principles, until things get out of hand, they dust off the old documents and begin to threaten. International organizations make threats that they cannot fulfill. It challenges their credibility.
Asked why too much focus on Niger, the conflict expert explains.
The interests in Niger are massive. For Guinea, they couldn't, because Guinea sits on France because it goes against the interest of Niger. Secretary Blinken does not want to classify what has happened as a coup d'etat, because by American law, then the U.S. cannot deal with the regime in Niamey. They will have to dismantle their drone base. So they are playing games with the words.
Those excerpts were collected for us by staffman Abel Bela Samari. Gunfire has been heard in Ouagadougou, the capital of Burkina Faso, in the early hours of today from an airbase in the center of the city. Security sources said the situation was under control without giving more details. Moreover, the incident comes 10 months after a coup, the second in less than a year in the country, which has been battling an Islamist insurgency since 2015. Osman Sonko's party has been accused of planning an insurrection. Senegal's interior minister says 2 people have been killed in the city of Ziguinchor during a protest against the detention of the main opposition leader. The ministry did not say who died, but urged calm and said measures were being taken to maintain stability in the country. Let's come back to Talk Sports. And with our sports page this afternoon is Evans Williams and Jobati. Good afternoon, Evans.
Good afternoon, my parasita.
Evans, you say the 26th edition of the African Boxing Championship continues today after 4 days of intense bouts.
The sports of heavy blows, knockouts, and bouts will today be entering the quarterfinal phases. In the meantime, 2 sessions with a total of 36 bouts were recorded yesterday, in which 4 Cameroonians out of 9 emerged champions. Bertrand Magua Menduga, president of the African Boxing Confederation, grades the level of this year's 26th edition with pass marks.
Very, very hard competition, and I'm sure that we will have very, very big champion at the end of this championship. For the people who want to watch, it is free. Come and watch this championship.
We equally caught up with a participant from South Africa who won his fight.
John Paul Masama from South Africa, athlete on 63 kgs. Also relaxing the fight. The fight was good. I have more to learn. Although it was my first out for this tournament, I'm looking forward for other fights.
And before you go, Evans, you equally have interesting news coming from the ongoing La Francophonie Games in the Congolese capital of Kinshasa.
Definitely, Zita, the ongoing La Francophonie Games in Kinshasa has already recorded Team Cameroon with 12 medals in 3 days of participation. Today, the pitch will set side for athleticism as Emmanuel Eseme and mates will be entering the semi-finals in the men and women's 100 meters track sports. Already yesterday, the under-20 male football team qualified for the next stage after beating Niger's under-20 boys 1-0. Lawrence Kide, who viewed the match, gives an appraisal of the encounter.
Immediately we got that goal, we got a set of substitutions with players like Ndumbe and Patton, who came in but who couldn't offer what Manim or Avon produced in the first 45 minutes. So unfortunately Cameroon had to move behind and try to keep that goal that yielded 3 points. And I think the under-20 Lions are at the top of the group with 4 points, and now we wait to see what Lebanon will do again.
Meanwhile, the under-23 basketball ladies are locking horns with the under-23 Benin basketball team for a place in the final 4 of that competition.
And he is here with me in the studio already for a summary of this newscast in the French language. Bon après-midi, Claude Baokeng.
Bon après-midi, ma Palazita. Mutuelle d'assistance et de solidarité, après la ville de Berthois, les agences Renapo Finance SA de Ndokoti et New Deido dans la région du littoral ont tenu hier les tirages au sort de l'acte 3. Plusieurs mutualistes se sont repartis avec des lots, Masso Gold et Masso Classique. En santé, la semaine mondiale de l'allaitement maternel a débuté ce 1er août. Au Cameroun, des milliers d'enfants sont privés du lait maternel. Plus de 10 000 décès de par manque avant l'âge de 2 ans. À l'international Afrique, après l'extension de la CEDEAO suite au coup d'État au Niger, le Burkina Faso et le Mali mettent en garde contre toute intervention militaire au Niger. C'est dans un communiqué conjoint publié le lundi 31 juillet 2023 que les autorités du Burkina Faso et du Mali ont fait cette déclaration. En sport, les 9e Jeux de la francophonie se tiennent à Kinshasa au Congo. La team Cameroun totalise au total 12 médailles contre 3 médailles en or. Toujours dans cette compétition, les demi-finales du 100 mètres dames et messieurs se déroulent à l'instant. Le porte-étendard de la team Cameroun, Emmanuel Eseme, entend battre son record. En football, les U20 ont battu le Niger et sont qualifiés pour les demi-finales.
Ladies and gentlemen, that was our package for you this afternoon. The news was technically assisted with copyright by Salomon Esana. Alan Quickham took care of the cameras for our Facebook Live. The news was produced by Evans Williams and Jobati. News editor Bertrand Owona. Script editing and editorial coaching Abel Bella Samari. Coordination from our station manager Jean-Patient Chala. And general supervision from Reverend Pastor Bisai Emmanuel Noel. For presentation, my name is Mapala Zeta. Thanking you for listening and wishing you an interesting afternoon with a beautiful lady who is already seated by my side, RAISSA Parker. Welcome back.
Thank you, ma Palazita. Et on va continuer justement dans ce bilinguisme-là avec les auditeurs. Depuis 12h35, on s'y plaît et ça fait en sorte que pas mal, retiennent quelque chose. On va donc continuer dans cette leçon et parler des sujets à l'ordre du jour. Notre invité est déjà parti, Joyce Babatunde, artiste musicienne, et on va avoir la page pratique avec Miss Prudence à partir de 14h passées de 45 minutes. Restez avec nous.
Ladies and gentlemen,